for today's episode, I have a central question for you. Have you ever been to the Yellow Forest? If not, come join me. Welcome back to another episode of Jungu Josh, where we talk about the trials and tribulations of the 13-year-old Josh, who finds himself in London, but ventures off into the jungles of Africa in search of his missing mother. But now he has an evil professor chasing him. But with the help of a couple of friends in this magical valley of Kalambula, he might not only find his missing mother, but also fend off the evil forces. So the context of today's episode, Josh and Charlie venture off towards the Mabandi Mountains in search of a lost Sifashama who's turned his back on the rest of the valley. You can read all about this in Book 2, The Warrior of Abimonja. Now what happens is, while they are venturing, they realize that the sun is setting and they quickly have to make a plan to get a place to sleep for the night. And there they see it on the horizon, the beautiful golden leaves of the Yellow Forest. Now, in Book 1, there was a big warning from Akunu, the blacksmith, warning Josh of the fact that the Yellow Forest is holy and that you should be spiritually ready to enter the forest, but also that evil forces can never penetrate this area, the woods. But because they are desperate to find a place to stay, especially with one not wanting to venture off into the night in Africa, but also with all these other evil forces that are chasing them down, they decide to enter the forests. What happens next is they are captured by a clan of children called the Ganajis of the Yellow Forest. Now, the Ganajis have their own village in the Yellow Forest, and it's called, believe it or not, New Jerusalem, which signifies a new beginning for the children. Now, if you go back into the history of how the Ganajis found themselves in the Yellow Forest, it comes down to the fact that Kalambula has, in the last couple of years, lost their way. They've become leaderless, and chaos has ensued. And so the parents of these Ganajis have actually abandoned them, forgotten their responsibilities towards their children. So they fled to the Yellow Forest to have a new life, a new beginning in New Jerusalem. Now, how does New Jerusalem look like? Well, it's magnificent. It's got these huge tree houses connected by low-hanging bridges, and they've got a massive bonfire in the middle of the village. They've got a jaloba, which is known as their school. They've got an area where they play dookie. I'll talk more about that just now. They even have a small building where you can go ask the older children for advice if they have difficult questions they want answered, but also if there are conflict between the Ganajis. The younger Ganajis are known as the Mgenis. Those are normally the children who are aged 6 to 9, and then once they turn 10 years old up until 17, they are known as the Dayas. So the Mgenis are the younger children, and then the Dayas provide leadership. But they have one central leader known as the Prince of the Forest, and his name is Janja, a very interesting character. He's well-spoken, a bit introverted, but he has exquisite leadership skills. He does more, he talks less. So what happens is when Josh and Charlie are captured by the Ganajis, taken to New Jerusalem, there's initially a lot of conflict between Janja and Josh. There's a kind of standoff because Janja sees himself as the leader of the Yellow Forest, and Josh at this stage is the king of Kalambula. According to Josh, and I think he's correct, the Yellow Forest forms part of Kalambula. But because of the bad history the Ganajis have with their parents in Kalambula, they see the Yellow Forest as a separate nation, a separate area. So this creates a lot of conflict. And this also represents the conflict between Kalambula with these villages Bedonga, Liba, and Kipoko, and their conflict with New Jerusalem. So just quickly back to Dookie, what's it all about? It's a type of national sport, if you'd like, for the Ganajis of the Yellow Forest. So how does it work? Is they make a ball from softened tree bark cloth, and they wrap it around with ropes, and they kick the ball. So what happens is when this ball goes through a person's legs, that person is activated and has to run away as far as possible in the shortest amount of time, because the person who kicked the ball is now the attacker, and they run as fast as possible to a reed in the central area where this is played. When they reach the reed, they shout "Kucha!" and everybody has to stop. And what happens is this person, who is the attacker, takes the reed and places a specific seed that only occurs in the Yellow Forest, and called the papitsa seed. And this seed has got thorns around it, and puts it into the reed, blows it as hard as possible to one of the other players. And if they are hit by this seed, it clings to the skin and creates an immense burning sensation. And then obviously you're out of the game. So this goes on and on until there's a winner. Now maybe we should have a whole episode just about Duki and perhaps reenact how it's played. It would be fun. But today I want to talk to you about two things about the Yellow Forest. The first is the Ganajis themselves. And that is the strong leadership from Janja that creates a flourishing environment. So we learn a lot about how important leadership is in creating a flourishing society, which Kalambula doesn't have or hasn't had these last couple of years. Yes, Josh has stepped into that role now, but now there's already anarchy and a very difficult situation for him to try and gain control over. Whereas with the Yellow Forest, there are rules and there's leadership. But the second thing I want to talk to you about is about the Yellow Forest itself. It's not a normal forest, we know that. It's very enchanting. And it was given to Kalambula as a safe space for a limited period of time. So the purpose of the Yellow Forest is for people to go and gather their thoughts when they are broken, get back on their feet and face life again. But the problems with the Ganajis is they didn't leave. So it's as if they are in a dreamlike state caused by the leaves of the Yellow Forest. So they become a dreamlike version of themselves. It's a utopia. But what happens also in a utopia is they lack drive and they lack ambition. People are made for challenges. And that's the second central conflict that occurs, as Josh tries to encourage Janja and the Ganajis to come back to Kalambula. Yes, Kalambula has got massive problems, but humans were made to solve problems. Come back. And that creates a lot of struggles as well. So I think it's an important lesson for us when we read about these scenes in Book 2, is that it's great to have a comfort zone. It's great to regroup. If you go back home to your parents' house for some food and just gather your thoughts of how you want to approach life from here on end. But you can't stay there forever. And this is what the Ganajis still have to learn, is to face life again. So maybe you find yourself in the Yellow Forest, enchanted by a comfort zone, and perhaps it's time for you to step out and face life again. Or you might find yourself in Kalambula, in chaos, but maybe you are the leader everybody's waiting for. But guess what? You can see how the Yellow Forest looks like if you go to the Jungu Josh website. That's jungujosh.com. Go to the map of Kalambula and you'll see the Yellow Forest in all its glory. So comment below, are you a Ganaji, a younger version, a Mgeni, or an older child, a Daya, or are you finding yourself as an adult in Kalambula? It was great to have another episode with you on Jungu Josh, and all I can say is, brace yourselves for more intricate... Watch this space, more to come. I look forward to seeing you with me and the Ganajis and all the other characters of Jungu Josh in the next episodes.